Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Bench to Community Experience. Today's dynamic discussions will begin with Senator Connie Leyva's address on the importance of advocacy for women's health issues and research. And our ending address will be with Shannon Lawrence's timely discussion on the power of our vote. I am Rick Kittles, co-founder, not co-founder. I am founder and chief of the Division of Health Equities at the City of Hope. Here at the Division of Health Equities, we have a very strong commitment to determining disparities in health. We believe achieving health equity requires holistically addressing the determinants that impact health outcomes. We prioritize the most vulnerable in our communities, which so often are the Black, Indigenous, and people of color populations. So today we're all grappling with this COVID-19 and racism pandemics as we have these major challenges in our nation. We are reminded that we cannot tackle these difficult social and health disparities obstacles alone. We must work together. We must come together as neighbors. It is imperative that we partner with the communities affected by diseases like breast cancer, where Black women are 40% more likely to die. So under the leadership of our community advisors, Tanya Fairley and Coma McDowell, and researchers like Dr. Didi Tate and Lindsay Trevino, Bench to Community provides us with an example of how academic and community engagement can join forces to improve disparate health outcomes. So in closing, I'm reminded of an African proverb that's fitting to frame our discussion today. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Let's continue to be good neighbors to each other. Thank you all to all of the participants and the speakers, and thanks for joining today's symposium.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jazma Tapia, and I am a PhD candidate in Drs. David Ann and Victoria Seawalt's laboratory at City of Hope. Thank you to Dr. Kittles for that wonderful opening welcome. I would like to briefly discuss a couple of housekeeping rules. All participants will remain on mute. The symposium is being recorded, and therefore your attendance is your consent. Additionally, the chat will be recorded and will be available on video for replay after the event. Please use one admin questions to ask questions of today's speakers throughout the sessions. Thank you to all of our moderators for supporting today's event. I am honored to introduce our first keynote speaker of the day, Senator Connie Leyva, re-elected to represent the 20th State Senate District in 2018. Senator Connie M. Leyva is serving her second term in the California State Senate. As our state senator, Senator Leyva is committed to improving California's schools, environment, and communities, as well as creating quality jobs throughout the 20th State Senate District in California. She firmly believes that California families benefit most when we invest in and help strengthen small businesses and other job drivers that create good paying jobs in our local communities. Additionally, congratulations are in order, as Senator Leyva authored Senate Bill 312. This bill has been approved by Governor Newsom and will require a manufacturer of a cosmetic product sold in the state to disclose to the Division of Environmental and Occupational Disease Control a list of each fragrance ingredient or flavor ingredient that is included on a designated list, as defined, and a list of each fragrance allergen that is present in the cosmetic product in specified concentrations. This is a huge win for the natural cosmetic industry and makes California the first government to set this in motion. For today's discussion, Senator Connie Leyva will talk about advocacy for women's health issues and research. Senator Connie Leyva, welcome.
Thank you so much. It is my pleasure to be here with all of you today. Thank you for inviting me to the Bench to Community Symposium. It is really an honor to be invited by the City of Hope, who does exactly what their title says, provides hope to people. And as a world-renowned cancer center, we appreciate you. And as someone who lives kind of just down the street from the City of Hope in Chino, I really appreciate everything that you have done and continue to do. So as some of you may know, the legislative session for 2019-2020 has recently ended. Each session is a 2-year session. So this was the end of the second year. And I definitely look forward to being back in January and getting back to work. When we're off and in our districts, we still have work to do, but it's much different than legislature and legislating. And this year's been crazy, just like it was for all of you. So I'm excited to be here with you. Since being elected to the state Senate, I have had the honor of authoring 39 bills that have been signed into law. Some of these bills have included eliminating the statute of limitation on rape, requiring the prompt testing of rape kits, protecting victims of human trafficking, criminalizing sextortion, reducing pollution by implementing smog checks for heavy-duty trucks, and many more. The wonderful part about my job is you get to find a problem and you have the opportunity to fix it. So I'm honored to represent everyone in the 20th Senate District and feel lucky every day to get to do my job. Of course, as you just heard, the governor recently signed SB 312, which will ensure that consumers in California know what ingredients are in their beauty and personal care products that they bring home to their families and use every day. When I was testifying in each committee, I had my little strawberry fizz lip gloss with me. And what I said to people is, I would love to know what's in the strawberry fizz. Now we will get to know. This is, as you also heard, first in the nation legislation and empowers consumers and truly highlights the importance of making sure that toxic ingredients are never kept a secret. It is simply unacceptable that we know more about the fragrance in our cleaning products than we do about the products that we use on our own bodies. Fortunately, that will be changing January 1 when SB 312 goes into effect. I certainly could not do any of this work alone. I always have to thank the large coalition of folks that help me. In this case, it's nonprofits, health and environmental groups, businesses, and other organizations that stood alongside me in this noble and years-long fight to improve ingredient transparency and protect Californians across the state. In that vein, I would like to highlight the great help from breast cancer prevention partners and especially Janet Noodleman. Janet was there every step of the way. She was always helping us to figure out how do we best move this forward. And I know, Janet, you are on and you're going to be speaking in one of the breakouts, but I want to publicly say thank you for everything you did to help Team Leyva get this bill to the governor's desk. On the same day that Governor Newsom signed SB 312, he also signed AB 2762 by Assemblymember Marisucci, which is another first in the nation bill. This bill, which I was proud to support on the floor and floor managed the bill, will ban the use of a number of toxic chemicals in cosmetics. This is great, and I really thank Assemblymember Marisucci for bringing it forward. Clearly, California is moving in the right direction in our fight to build both awareness and protections around the use of these toxic ingredients and these chemicals that mostly impact women and girls. Those of you who have followed my work in the legislature may know that I have been particularly active since arriving in the Senate to protecting Californians, including children, from exposure to lead. When I was first elected, I was shocked to find out that we still had schools and communities here in Southern California and up and down the state of California that were exposing mostly our children to lead. I've worked on successful legislation to inform Californians about where lead pipes still remain and make sure that public water systems develop a plan to remove them from use. Through the horrible situation in Flint, it garnered much coverage a few years ago, and rightfully so. Many places right here in California also have notably high lead levels. Sadly, lead exposure oftentimes disproportionately impacts low-income families and communities of color. Lead can clearly have dangerous health outcomes for people, including kidney damage and nerve disorders. And we know, of course, for our children, it's even worse, and it can cause neurological damages, which are not reversible. In 2018, I authored legislation to help make sure that children at risk to lead exposure receive blood level screening tests. which will ultimately help empower parents so they can promptly diagnose and treat children that may have been exposed. That bill was signed into law by the governor, and kids can sometimes be unknowingly exposed to lead paint through things like toys, drinking water, and, as I said, paint. California schools are now required to test water for lead. I was kind of surprised that they weren't required to do that, but now they will be required and are doing it, and we're looking forward to the results as that bill went into effect in 2019. Also, as we talk about empowering Californians, we must also remember that an important part of strengthening the rights of Californians is protecting their right to access basic medical care, which must include reproductive care. SB 24, the College Student Right to Access, was just signed into law last year. This historic legislation will ensure access to medication abortion services on California public university campuses for students who seek to end their pregnancy. While other states have taken the misguided path of limiting access to abortion, I have been proud to elevate California's standing as a protector of women's reproductive rights and access to vital care. A woman should always have the right to choose and with whom she chooses to have a family. Over the last 4 years, we have seen a concerted effort on the part of federal leaders to strip away basic rights and protections afforded to us in the Constitution. At least here in California, we will not stand for it, and we will actually move our state in the opposite direction to show that we will continue to fight for the rights of women and their right to choose. I'd also like to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about racism and racism as a public health issue. Among all the crises that our nation is facing right now, including the COVID-19 pandemic and the economic downturn, we need to actively recognize and fight against the structural racism that continues to deepen the racial gaps in our country. We have all seen the huge divisions in our country made even more clear since the horrible video of George Floyd's killing at the hands of the police. Of course, racism has always been a part of America's history from even before our country was founded. The question is this: how and what can we do in 2020 about it, and in California about it? You may have recently heard about my call to declare racism a public health crisis. It is simply unacceptable that Black Americans have a much higher chance of not having health care, developing obesity and high blood pressure, dropping out of school, or even contacting COVID-19 than white Americans, just to name a few. But beyond that, as important as it is, I also think that we need to start with our students by making sure that they learn about other cultures and other backgrounds. Because I know in my heart that when we learn about each other, we'll realize that we have more in common than not. But ultimately, I want to make sure that Black Americans not only feel, but actually are safer. By working together and keeping things honest and real, I am confident that we can make a real difference in the lives of Blacks and other racial minorities in our state. Racism clearly affects health outcomes, so it is on all of us, regardless of our skin color, to fight not just for equality, but equity for all. In conclusion, I want to emphasize just how critical research and advocacy are for legislation and the policymaking process. Thinking about fragrance disclosure, for example, I so appreciate all the hard work and the perseverance that went into the research establishing the toxicity of chemicals, particularly those chemicals that are found in products we use every day. The research, coupled with the ongoing advocacy, is what really got this bill over the finish line. It is so important to call your elected officials. Call now. Hopefully in the future we'll be able to meet face to face again. But it's so important that you advocate on behalf of the issues that are important to you. The stories that you share with us give us what we need to advocate on the Senate floor, the Assembly floor, and get these bills to the governor's desk. As a state senator, I am so proud to represent nearly 1 million Inland Empire residents from Pomona to the San Bernardino. But ultimately, as a California state senator, I have the incredible opportunity to work on legislation and issues that impact 40 million people in the state of California. So I urge all of you to let your voices be heard in Sacramento and in city halls, on school boards, and every other civic body in your home and near the Capitol. Keep fighting for what is right. Keep fighting for justice and equity. I will leave you with a line from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from Birmingham jail. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Injustice can take many forms, so it is important that we continue to educate, empower, and fight back wherever we may find prejudice, discrimination, and injustice. Thank you so much for having me today. Keep up all the great work. And don't forget to vote.
Thank you so much, Senator Leyva, for that. That was wonderful. We are accepting questions right now. I have a comment from someone who has said, Senator Connie Leyva is our shero, such a champion on behalf of women's health. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
I also have another question. What are some steps that we as people right now can take now to make a change in the cosmetic industry?
I think that it is important to talk to your legislator, assembly, or Senate, and let us know what the issue is so that we can possibly author legislation. What we found when we were doing SB 312 is that we had a lot of opposition at first, but then once the cosmetic industry realized that this is what people want, this is what society wants right now, they started changing what their thoughts were. How we change the cosmetic industry is how we change any other industry. We have to put pressure on them and let them know that this is what we want. Transparency in cosmetics, I think, is not too much to ask. And even as Assemblymember Marisucci's bill did, banning some of these toxic ingredients, I think we should ban all toxic ingredients. Why would we even allow that to happen? But talk to us. Let us know how we can be helpful.
That's great. Thank you very much. Well, at this moment, we do not have any more questions. We still have comments coming through saying thank you so much for the work and your commitment to marginalized communities. And hairstylists are really happy to hear about this new bill that has been passed. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here today. Thank you.